Welcome, everyone, to the Sacred Feminine Connection podcast, founded by me, Anne Reynolds, with a mission. And it's twofold mission. And one is to reweave the red thread of sisterhood among women around the world and restore the sacred connection between the sacred feminine and sacred masculine that was present since ancient times, but was lost and forgotten. At this time, this podcast airs every second Monday of the month on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. Today's episode is entitled Reclaiming the Sacred Masculine in Modern Times. I'm honored to introduce today's speaker, who is my first male guest on this podcast. And so first, I'm going to give a little bit of background on him. Olivier Vaneeckhout is a retreat facilitator, pilgrim, and guide in the Cathar region of southern France, where he invites people to slow down, reconnect with self-love, and remember who they truly are. After 25 years in the corporate world, he chose a path rooted in simplicity, truth, and inner presence, inspired by the Cathars, Mary Magdalene, and the wisdom of the land, and founded Conscious Soul Connection to help others along the same path. From his bed and breakfast Villa Sainte Marie in Limoux, he hosts personal retreats together with his partner Mika and holds space for the awakening of the sacred masculine, a journey into embodied strength, emotional depth, and authentic connection. And so I am so excited to have you today, Olivier. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on today's interview.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
And so let's start with, just reading and listening to your background. I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned about the Cathars, Mary Magdalene, and the wisdom of the land, because you actually live in southern France in the Cathar region. And so could you tell me, how did the sacred masculine call out to you for the first time in your life?
Thank you. Good question. Yes, I'm actually Belgium, which is a country next to France, and moved 3 years to the Cathar region. So most of my life was going through Belgium. And I think the sacred masculine started quite early. And often that starts with your parents. In this case, I think it's a story that a lot of men will recognize, and women also, is the fact that I had an absent father. So someone who was not there emotionally. And the fact that they divorced my parents when I was 3 years old, I basically was raised by women, by my mother and my grandmother. So that makes that I was just looking, as of my 3 years, for most of my teenage years, to a role model. What is it to be a man? What is it to be a sacred masculine? And I couldn't really find it. So my way was just to hide, to please, to be nice to my mother, nice to grandmother, and have a masks. And that was it. Until I joined the Boy Scouts, if you have the same thing in the US. So it's with lots of young men. And there finally I found some brothers. I was 12 years old. And from a woman's world, I suddenly came to a men's world. And of course, the role models there were the leaders at that time. And so that's the first time I was like, wow, okay, what is really sacred masculine? In that way was just to show up, to be there, to take responsibility, to do the work, to serve others, to be in nature, to be connected with the stars and the earth. So it was really the first while, like, wow, this is really what I want to be, kind of embodied masculine. And that evolved, of course, to getting partners and relationships, because that's the best mirror, the best playground for sacred masculine. because there you really get into your shadows and your wounds and your triggers and love and what is not love. And I think lastly, it's really fatherhood. I have 2 daughters. They are 20 plus now. So I was suddenly coming from a boys' world, scouts, boys' school, into a home with 2 daughters and my partner. And there I really learned to relax, to show up, to be present, not to focus too much on my job, listen, play, a lot of the feminine aspects of myself, which I discovered through my daughters. So you could say it's from an absence of masculinity that I suddenly was looking for how do I need to be a man? What is it to be a man in this world? I had no role model, to going through the friends and the nature, saying, okay, that could be something. And then through learning. I mean, all my life I've been experiencing through my daughters, through relationships, through friends, to work. So I think that's a bit the road to sacred masculine.
That's so beautiful. So I just wanted to ask, because you mentioned that your parents divorced when you were very young. Do you remember your father at all?
I had no remembrance before 3. I just feel a lot of sadness, basically. Sadness, being alone, being separate, and not be able to speak to anyone what I felt. Because, of course, I wanted to spare my mother because she was sad. So I didn't. So I learned already to suppress my emotions at that time, which was it's been a lifetime, and still going on to open that box of emotions and vulnerability. So my father, I could see him every 2 weeks, 2 days. So I know my father. I saw him every 2 weeks. But also there, he was an absent father. He never really took responsibility in his life neither. He was like a big boy, you could say. He didn't take me, I couldn't see a role model in his eyes. So I was like, I need to look somewhere else. But I love him. Still alive. I still love him. I know he did his best. But it was not him who gave me the role model.
And so would you say that it was the Boy Scouts, your first encounter with the Boy Scouts, that provided you with that role model? Is that right?
Yes. That was a full package. My grandfather, he was a quiet man, typically the grandfather, not saying a lot, just sitting, reading his newspaper, but he was there. So at least, I could see it, someone, and that's one of the aspects of sacred masculinity, being stillness, being there, being a container, and everything was fine for him. So he was never angry to me or something. He was like, I'm here, you just do whatever you need to do, and that's okay. So I got that aspect of kindness and of containership, but he had other things which were not okay. So no, but at least that, I think the first thing was really my grandfather, and then the second thing was the boys, definitely. Other men, other boys, the leaders of the scouts, and I think the best thing was experience, just to what feels good. My body always was very sensitive, so I could really feel if something was good or not good. And that's also something about sacred masculinity. I think lots of men go to their minds, to the head. That's where the most energy sits. And we don't feel our hearts or our bodies because we just disconnected from that. And so the whole life process was really to put the energy from the head to the heart, to the belly, or the hara, as we say it, the spiritual womb for men, and the legs. I spent really a long time really to feel my body. I couldn't feel my fingers. I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel my toes. So it was an whole journey to go there.
That's really interesting.
Mm.
So you said so much, and I'm just thinking, like, which aspect should I bring forward? But because you just mentioned about feeling the body, for men especially, because it is true, because as a relationship coach, I do know that men are more focused on the energy that is coming from the mind or from the head, and as you mentioned, it's important for them to drop into the body and into the heart as well, and that is just as important.
Yeah.
um, I wanted to ask you, well, with all of this like coming together, what is the experience of the sacred masculine that made the most impact in your life and motivated you towards the work you do with men and also women, right? Today?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Um, the main point was the thing, the absent father actually was the main point, was my process of looking what is it to be a real, and I didn't call it sacred masculine at that time. I just called it what is the role of man in this society. Um, and I had a lot of good friends, nice people, but very conditioned into the world, you know, not really being self-caring, not really taking their shadows as responsibility, and still not the case. I mean, I have lots of ex-friends who are, they're not willing at all to look into their lives, into the pain. So it's really the moment that you open the box of shadows. I think that is for me one of the most important things. And shadows is just, emotions, stuck emotions you haven't expressed really, or aspects of yourself. Um, just one example, I always thought I'm a good man with a good heart, with a good intentions. But I was saying, everything which is man, like the ego, the dominant man, the bad man, I'm not that. I'm something else. Well, no, I'm a man. So also I have an aspect of being dominant. Yes, also I have an aspect of not speaking my truth. I also have an aspect of not um, allowing the feminine to be who they are, who she is. I'm also controlling and fixing and wanted to be dominant sometimes. So it's only by allowing myself to feel these aspects and to say, yes, that's also me. It's also me, that I could suddenly get a relaxation and finally accept it. And still today, every day, in relationship with other people, with my daughters, with Miki, with my partner, I am seeing shadows that I didn't realize I have. And it's only by putting consciousness into it that that it feels good. You can integrate them. So that's for me one of the most important aspects.
Okay. And how did that motivate you to the work that you are doing with people today? Because you mentioned that I checked your website out, but you also led a private retreat for us recently. So
Yes.
I wanted to ask what motivated you to choose that path to help others on the same path as you are on, and just even in mentioning about the importance of just accepting all parts of us, the shadow part and the part, I mean all parts basically, including the shadow parts. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, there was one aspect which is, I mean, I've been working corporate life for 25 years. I was in finance. But what really interested me was people. So I was more talking to people and making sure that the team was doing well and just to see how everybody was. So I'm just naturally interested in people, anyone. So and to feel people, anyone, and really just to try to just to be there. And of course, I try to fix and everything, but that I try to let go and just be there, just be the container. So I think it's a natural kind of willingness to be interested in people. And then there is something else which is very deep inside of me. I'm, my company is called Conscious Soul Connection. That suddenly, I feel this soul, this something bigger than ourselves, which is very close to us. And there's something bigger than just life, the daily life we're doing. And from that kind of higher observer perspective, it's just so interesting to help people. And so there comes the Cathar lineage, or Mary Magdalene, or all these kind of things, which was so inspiring to me to see that actually there was a divine feminine, Mary Magdalene, there was a sacred masculine, Yeshua, who lived there 2,000 years ago, and before you had Egypt with Isis and Osiris, and before even more. But let's just focus on Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. And by moving here 3 years ago, I could just feel the energy, what it really meant to be. And before I felt it, I read about it. So I think that energy of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua really opens my life. Like, okay, I want to embody, in a way, as small as it is, as humble as it is, this kind of energies. And I want to help other men also to walk that path. And I combined with the experience, with lots of sadness, with the pain I've had, with look at the shadows. I just like experience so much. I just love life so much that I want to share it with other people, just because I love people and just because I love this lineage. And then the last point is 5 years ago, I went to a festival of conscious men. It's in Belgium. 500 men come together every year during 5 days. And I was very afraid of it in the beginning. That's why I waited for 2 years really to subscribe to it. So I could have been there 7 years ago, but it was 5 years ago. And I came there and I could just suddenly see all these men, which sometimes look really rough on the outside, but most of them with an open heart. And then I could see, okay, this is what I want to be. I want to live with an open heart. I don't want to have a mask on all the time. I don't want to manipulate people, control people. I want to be what I call now sacred masculine. And that is my role model. And so I start talking to these men. I start, all my friends today, my best friends, are all going to this secret, to this festival of men. That's where I meet all of them. And that's also where we have today, here in the B&B, there is a very nice man, Christophe, who I met in the Festival of Men. Tomorrow, one of my best friends will come here also to walk with me for a couple of days. You see, this is just, it changed my life. And by seeing other men doing their thing every day, taking responsibility, being vulnerable, opening their hearts, embodying presence, and seeing how they struggle and suffer, but still, every time that they experience something, they could stood up again and they go. And if I have an issue, I can just call, I couldn't call anyone before. I was just, and now I can call at least 3 or 4 men where I can say everything to them, everything. And that is such a, it's so important. That's that brotherhood. And, why is that so important? Because when we men can support each other, we can also be a much bigger and better container for our women, our relationships, our daughters, for the feminine outside and inside of us. So it is so, for every woman or man listening to this, I would say, first thing, that every man looks for a brotherhood group, somebody you can really open your heart with. It has been done by lineages before. In many cultures, that was common sense. Men went together, they sit together, they open their hearts, and they talk about how can I be a better man. I want to know from other men where I fail. I want to know what I can do better. And of course, my partner will tell that, and of course, my daughters will tell that. But that's it. And that is what they're really best in, if I can allow it, what they say. But other men, they have another perspective. So I think it's really complementary to have the feedback of men, feedback of women. So I just love the path of sacred sexuality and sacred masculinity, of course. It's all combined.
That's so profound how you explained that, and you did it in such a short period of time. And since you are living in southern France, you mentioned how you could feel the energy of the
Mm.
land. You described it. And well, could you tell us what exactly is that energy of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua that you felt very strongly in that area?
Yes. We've been living in a world which is very male dominated. And so our society is built around it: control, performance, domination. And then you come here, and then you really see what the sacred feminine really is. It is nature, it's energy, it is liveness, it's colors, it is creativity, it is the rivers who flows here, it's the mountains who are there, it's the sun, it's everything, it's nature, so it's Mother Earth. So the Cathars who were here in the 12th century and the Templars in the same century, they were devoted to the Sophia, to the wisdom, to the feminine. They devoted their life to the feminine. They were the container, the masculine aspect, but they were devoted to open up for this allowing, this intuition, this goddess energy, which, has been forgotten for the last centuries, and before the 12th century, definitely. So that's just, I think, why I'm here, is just to feel every day, by opening my window, by walking, to feel the feminine divine energy around me. And so it's a lot easier for me to embrace it, to feel it, to embrace it externally, but also to embrace it internally. And that was a devotion of the Templars, it was a devotion of the Cathars, and many other lineages who were here. So I mean, you can go to the Celts before, the Celtic people, and etc. etc. So I can talk long about it, but I think that's the main thing, is just to be here, feeling this divine feminine energy. And I think it's important nowadays, in modern times, to connect people back again with that energy, because people have no clue. It's chaotic, it's so much information. It's so strange world going on. If you can just connect with your divine feminine, your wisdom, your inner wisdom, you don't need a phone, or you don't need books, or everything is in there. Everything of the knowledge is from your wisdom, from your feminine wisdom inside of you. So if you can combine the masculinity of presence, embodied presence, and you can allow all this wisdom, all this allowing, all this creativity to come out, that's a perfect marriage. So, and this lands really, when I have people coming here, and you have experienced it, I don't need to do a lot. I just be my divine masculine being. I'm open, I'm a container, I create a safe space, and people can go into nature, can see the sights, can go to the Mary Magdalene sites, can go to the Cathar sites, can go into the caves, and things happen automatically. So I think that's really it. It's coming home in a divine feminine energy.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, especially about the coming home and the goddess energy. It's just this nurturing, loving energy in the land. It's
Mm.
coming out of the plants. I could feel it. I could really feel it. It's in the mountain, in the stones. It's everywhere, and it's just so beautiful. That's why I wanted my son to experience it as well, because then, and I really asked him, so what did you experience, went through the forest? And he goes, it's a welcoming energy. I said, okay, good, good, good. So that was really, really beautiful experience. So yes, thank you for bringing us and connecting us with the land of the Cathars. That's just,
Mm.
and Mary Magdalene. I mean, I knew that she walked there, and yeah, you. I mean, you were the perfect guide, and like you said, you know, we're all pilgrims because that's what we did. We did a pilgrimage, so that was just a really beautiful experience for us, and thank you for being our guide for that.
You're
And
very
so,
welcome. And you have a beautiful son. You know, he can be very grateful to have a mother like you to bring him to these places. So
thank
thank you.
you,
Mhm.
thank you so much. So we've been talking a lot about the importance of sacred, bringing in the sacred feminine, and also balancing it with the sacred masculine. And I wanted to ask you, what is the one masculine quality that you connect with the most, and why?
I think it's really embodied presence. Just be there, but be in your body. You know, before I was present in my mind. You know, the human capital, the minds. When I went to university, when I went to my job, people liked me because I had a good mind. I could say things, I could make papers, I could do presentations. That was great. But that's not, you know, I had 3 burnouts after that. So my body said there was something which is not okay. And the not okay is because I didn't feel my body. So the presence came from my mind into my heart, into my hara, the cosmic, the womb of man, into my legs. And so just being present, not controlling, not fixing, not wanting to change anything, but just be in the moment. I think, and that is very difficult. It's probably a lifetime's job to be embodied presence, because your mind will always try to take you somewhere else, or your body will have a pain, or you will want to react to something. If my daughters come to me and they have an emotional issue, I can just, what most people do, react and project my issues to them, and then they need to go and they need to solve it themselves. Or I can just try to sit there and listen to them and not solve it, but just listen. And that is enough. And if they would ask me my advice, I can give them my advice. But that's not the main thing. It's embodied presence. That is for my daughters, that's for my partner, that is for my guests which are coming here. It's for everything I do. It's being here with you today. For me, the most important is embodied presence. Being there with you to feel you and to express what I feel from the inside.
This is really beautiful, and I would say that embodied presence would really help a lot of people around the world, whether men or women.
Mm.
And so this is a really beautiful quality to have. And this is to all the men listeners out there. If you heard this interview and you would like to connect with Olivier and learn more about his work, where can they where can they find you? And also, I believe you have a gift for our listeners today. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. Um, my partner, Mika, um, she will organize, um, and I will support her there, a retreat in the Cathar region, where she will introduce you to womb work. She's a womb teacher, and it's called the Journey Through the Grail Gates, which I guess you will give the link to the listeners who are interested. It's a beautiful, it's really a beautiful couple of days where you will be, it's a really embodied presence exercise, and it's really to find your strength, your soul connection, your womb connection through your womb. And that's for men and women. So it's for women, but it's also for men. It's a mixed one. And I can tell you, once men are connected to their wombs today, haras, which is just below the navel, magic happens. And of course, the same with women. So that is something which we are offering to the listeners. To prepare for that, there is something called Rosa Mystica, which is an online program which Mieke is presenting, and there is a discount for the listeners. That's for women only, because it's really it's going through the archetypes of the beloved, of the priestess, and so that's for women only. There is a link where you can click on. For the man, I can offer a free 30-minute session with me, just to discuss any subjects and around divine masculinity. I can also offer a 10% discount on any coaching online and any personalized retreats here. So the retreats that I would organize for them, like we did together, they can get a 10% discount on that, specifically on the individual ones. And Scoop, and supported by your ideas, and I will start organizing a international online brotherhood circle. And so the first session is free, and then it will be a small fee afterwards. But so there's also an invitation that will be once a month to have men who will be able to share something. If you don't find a brotherhood around, or you would just want to connect with me, so that can be done via the 30-minute session, via the individual retreats, via the coaching, or via the brotherhood online.
That's great. I'm so excited because now I will let my son know. And in addition, Mika was actually my episode 2 guest. So if you have just stumbled upon this podcast today, you could go back and listen to episode 2. And Mika Antoine is Olivier's partner. And then you could see the sacred union of sacred feminine and sacred masculine, because first I interviewed her last month, and so you would see that episode, and then you would see how sacred masculine, today's episode, complements each other. And there is also a coupon for the retreat, and it's lasting love is the coupon code that you could enter into the link for the retreat. So that is in the notes. So everything that Olivier mentioned today, it's going to be in the notes for you to access easily. And then if you go to the Grail Gates retreat in October and you put in the coupon code Lasting Love, then you will get a discount, as he has mentioned.
I think the discount is for the Rosa Mystica, for the online course, and not for the retreats.
Is it?
Yes,
okay.
I think so.
Okay. So we'll sort that all out. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. And so in closing, I wanted to ask you, what is your message for the men listeners who are listening today?
I would like to read something. What is a sacred masculine? And it's short, but I think it gives everything. So I'm speaking as a sacred masculine, and it would be good just to maybe even close your eyes and just list, what is sacred masculine really? So me as a sacred masculine, I have faced my inner demons. I embraced my fears and acknowledged my shortcomings. I speak clearly and honestly. Where needed, I have offered forgiveness. I stay grounded, whether people praise me or criticize me. I live in a full integrity, in my mind, in my body, in my words and my actions. My thoughts and my emotions do not control me. I see them, I feel them, and I welcome them without being swept away. I am connected to my core, the still unshakable foundation of my being. I trust the silence within me and let it be my compass in all areas of my life. I have learned not to seek validation outside of myself, but to turn inwards. And I know I am whole, I'm worthy, exactly as I am now. I do not transcend my thoughts and emotions by ignoring them, but by fully embrace them, without reacting from them. My strength lies in the stability of who I truly am. I meet others with love, presence, and acceptance. And at the same time, I stand firmly for myself from the same place of love. I do not complain, I do not point fingers, and I take full responsibility for my state of being and every relationship I am part of. So this is something I try to say every day, every morning. And there's lots of things which I'm failing, but then I connect with myself again. And just by feeling it, staying open, staying connected with my heart, I experience who I am. And that's okay. So it's just a little present, I think, for men, just to, if you just can hear that, these words, you can see, how difficult a lot of these words really are. But that's the journey of the sacred masculinity. That's really this journey to go through that, these sentences, these words, this energy, and it's all okay. So I think that's, for me, the most important. Go to your brotherhood circle, look at your shadows, really, and put a lot of consciousness in the feminine. Embrace the feminine, all the feminine outside of you, and also the feminine inside of you. That would be it.
Thank you, Olivier. By the way, was that what you read? Is that something that you wrote, or who was the author?
That is something which I've been looking at. I've been to different sacred masculinity retreats. So it's a bit of a best of, which I made. So it's a bit of everywhere.
Thank you. And for our women listeners listening today, what would your message be for them?
I think how I feel. Lots of men are lost. They are looking for the identity. I think most of the men really try to do their best, have the best intentions. And so I would say, for the feminine, don't give up on men. Stay open. Stay feminine. Don't try to play the game of the masculine to be control, to be strong, to be fighting, to be. I would just do what you're really good in, and that is just to allow, embrace, be strong, and also be emotional. Just be the best version of yourself. So don't withhold yourself. If you want to be emotional, be emotional. If you want to cry, you cry. If you want to be creative, be creative. Don't withhold yourself with a man. A man will understand. A man needs to be challenged. And the biggest presence women can do to the man is to awaken him and to continue to challenge him. So I would say, don't give up. Challenge your man with love, with your femininity. That is really what we need. If we can do both, men can stay open to the feminine, and the feminine can be fully how they are, then the world will change. And the world is changing fast.
Thank you, Olivier. That was a really beautiful message for both men and women, and it really touched my heart. And now, for all the listeners there, because it was such a beautiful message, you can go back to the podcast and listen to it again and again so that you can get all the nuggets. So, thank you everyone for joining us today in this sacred space. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you liked what you heard today, please share this podcast with someone who really needs to hear this truth. and follow me for more groundbreaking interviews. Together, let's rebuild relationships based on love and trust. Remember who we are and heal the world.